Hi everyone, this is Spanish and thank you so much for joining for today's call. Um, Before we go ahead with the MicroStrategy webinar, I'll just quickly introduce myself and I'm just going to give you an overview what we're going to discuss today. My name is Panish and I had around 10 years of experience in MicroStrategy and almost I have worked across all the components, handled everything and as an architect, administration, doing the installation, configuring end to end, and even from the training, and that's been like 3 years that training the candidates across multiple domains. So for today's call, we're gonna go through about the MicroStrategy. We will understand about the MicroStrategy, who can learn MicroStrategy, what are the different interfaces that we have MicroStrategy, and what are the things that you can handle within the tool. So let's start discussing about the MicroStrategy. First, why MicroStrategy? What is MicroStrategy? A MicroStrategy is an enterprise BI application software vendor. It's a BI tool, it's a business intelligence tool, or you can even say as a front end or a reporting tool. In any data warehousing project that we work, we always have something that goes around in the backend which processes the data. But as a BI tool, it's something which you get the data from the database and you just analyze it as per the format you have set up within your reports and the dashboards. So the MicroStrategy is nothing but it gets you to the data from the warehouse and display in the format of a report or a dashboards. Turning data into reports and the dashboard, that is something what every BI product does. So what does something that MicroStrategy do something different as compared to the other BI tool? It really turns the data into a better and more reliable decisions which boost the performance of an organization. It supports the interactive dashboards under a MicroStrategy. The main thing is that you can create the various interactive dashboards, scorecards, highly formatted reports, even something called as the ad hoc query and the thresholds, and the automated report distribution. So it's not that you're just executing the reports to get the data, but there are a lot of other things that you can handle within the MicroStrategy tool. You can generate the various ad hoc reports as per which is going to serve the multiple customers. I can even set up some thresholds and the alerts which will visually interact me like, okay, if my revenue is going down, I need some alerts, and that is definitely can be done within this tool. I can even have the automatic report distribution, so you really don't have to log it into the environment. We can create a various subscriptions over here which will make sure that okay, every a specific scheduled time my report has to be executed and the data should be sent out to the concerned users. A MicroStrategy Business Intelligence Suite is provided with in-memory BI acceleration technology so that all tests can be done significantly faster and within the short period of time. So something you can say as an OLAP feature. So MicroStrategy does support an OLAP feature, that is the online analytical processing, in-memory processing, which will make sure that at the memory level itself it can perform all the calculations or whatever the performance that we need to do, and that's the reason the user might have to wait for a shorter period of time as compared to the one which we handle at the database layer. Within the MicroStrategy, you can even maintain there is something as an automated maintenance, immediate application development and deployment, multi-dimensional data support, quick startup of new application, and the expanded geo-mapping capabilities. So there are a lot of features that you can really see within the MicroStrategy tool. It's not that, as I'm just going to repeat over here, it's not only just getting the data. It's not a simple BI tool. You have a lot of automated maintenance operations that can be performed over here, and you can even create some application and deploy. It's a very simple a methodology that you can follow to create and deploy your own application. It does not even support only one data source. You can have your reporting where you can fetch the data from multiple data sources. Either it's an Oracle, it's a Teradata, So I was saying that the MicroStrategy also supports the multi-dimensional data sources. It's not. It's only like It's not only the single source. It's not only a single dimensional data source. You can even have the multi-sourcing and the multi-dimensional data source from which you can do your reporting. It even supports the geomapping capabilities. So if in case I want to integrate my data on a Google map or an ESRI map, even that is possible. So these are the really good features that we do have within the MicroStrategy tool, which itself distinguishes from its previous versions or the other BI vendors. MicroStrategy's relational OLAP or an ROLAP, you can say, the architecture allows the user to drill anywhere within the database. So it's not that whenever you execute a report, you just see the data at the one level. Okay, for an example, I have executed the data for the year level. I requested the data for at the year level. From now, I want to drill it to a customer. Okay, I pick up 1 year. Within that year, what are the customers who are generating a good amount of revenues? Even that is possible. So we do really have something as a relational OLAP architecture, which will allow you to drill anywhere within the same hierarchy or the across hierarchies. MicroStrategy has optimizations for all the major relational databases and the data warehouse vendors and can access multidimensional database files. So you really have a lot of features within the MicroStrategy where you can even fine-tune your reports, and this will just you can really make sure that it can even be fetched the data from any dimensional databases. It's not that it supports only few databases. Across it supports all the databases and the flat files as well. Now, okay, we now understand what is MicroStrategy. But in order to learn MicroStrategy, what are the prerequisites and who all can learn MicroStrategy? A MicroStrategy is really a BI tool, and the prerequisite I would say that you just need to understand the basic SQL. What is a SQL? How exactly the SQL can fetch the data? So just a simple components what we have within the SQL structure. So the prerequisite I would say you just need to have a basic knowledge of SQL, because within the MicroStrategy we're not going to do any kind of a coding, neither we're going to write any kind of a queries. So as a prerequisite I would say that within the tool I was saying that we're not going to do any kind of coding, and neither we're going to write any kind of a query. So just we need to have a basic SQL knowledge. Even the person who are from a non-technical background, even they can learn MicroStrategy very easily. Okay, and who all can pursue to learn the MicroStrategy? Any fresher who have just completed their studies, or any students who have just wanted to get the immediate placement. So they have just done the graduation and they want to get it immediate placement. I would say that they are the best one who can even learn the MicroStrategy. Even there are some experienced folks who want to enhance their skill set and want to upgrade their job levels. MicroStrategy is the good tool to learn. And last thing, even someone who's looking for an on-site aspiration, best you can even those folks can learn the MicroStrategy. I've just given you in the next few slides we have just showing you the sample dashboards that are available within the MicroStrategy. A MicroStrategy is not restricted to one domain. MicroStrategy can be incorporated across multiple domains. Either you have an HR domain, you have a retail domain, you have a banking domain. Any domain, MicroStrategy is going to support your organizational data. So if you look over here, this is one of the dashboards that we do have, and it's a simple showing me the airport information. So I have an airport base like across the world. What is the population of the people who are traveling from one destination to the other? So so even for those kind of information, we do have implemented through reporting on MicroStrategy. The second dashboard that we are showing over here is based on the customer relational analysis. So okay, the initial was based with the passenger and the airport, But over here, we are more focused on the customer, which are spread out across the multiple regions. And based on that, I'm really getting out my sales and the customer information. So you can see over here, I have selections that can be done where I can say the different regions, like I can have a mid-Atlantic, central, or a south regions. And across all the regions, I will have a different set of customers data that I can really do the analysis. How many are the new customers across a time period, or how many are the customers who have lost within the same time period. So this dashboard gives me all the information based on the customer and region. The third over here, it's purely from the finance perspective, where you are seeing the data more on based on the revenue and the income trend. So I have some kind of an income statement ending at a specific period. I'm doing a comparison between my revenue and EBITDA, and even I'm performing a kind of a pro forma analysis. What if my revenue goes higher, what would be my profit and the net income? So I can do an analysis on the fly. This is not the data which has been fetched from the database. I can on the fly, I can perform some what if analysis kind of thing, where I can say, okay, if my revenue exceeds something, all the other graphs will be updated automatically, so that you can even you can predict what happens if my number goes up or down by such amount. Okay, so it not only performs the it not only fetches the data, it not only fetches the static data, I would say, but you can even perform the online analysis. This is the one more dashboard where we are displaying this something as a Department of Transportation data. So you have multiple cities across which you can see the population growth, the percentage change, and so on. So there are a lot of information. We can even see it from the transportation department. Okay, just give me a second over here. All right. Okay. Now, and this is the one of the last dashboard that we are just showing over here is from the HR perspective. As I said, the MicroStrategy is not just restricted to a single domain. There are multiple domains. We already saw the multiple dashboards which are showing a different set of data across different domains. Even over here, you can see there are. This is more specific to the HR perspective. So we are conducting the HR surveys. So the HR surveys results have been displayed. What is the current headcount based on the multiple regions? What are the expected my headcount that can be there across a destination regions? So all the HR related informations have been displayed over here. So this would really give the a very high level information if someone is who's maintaining the HR information. Okay, all right. All right. So now, we saw a few sample dashboards which really gives an insight, like what are types of dashboards you can create, which all across domains you can create your MicroStrategy dashboards. So just to cut the long story in short, MicroStrategy supports everything. It can be used across any domain, any kind of a dashboard, any kind of an interactive dashboard you can create within the tool. Either it's a retail domain, the banking, gaming, manufacturing, telecom, healthcare, and so on. So across any domain, if you work, either it supports from the small database to the huge size of databases, MicroStrategy can work very efficiently. You will not see any kind of a performance lag. Of course, your database structure has to be organized and well built. But yes, if you ask me from the MicroStrategy, it's a very powerful BI tool which supports all the domains and the database to give you the optimal performance. If you ask me that, okay, if I go with the MicroStrategy, what is my probability of getting a job? There are multiple job opportunities across the globe. If you come under any of the location, either is US, UK, Singapore, India, a APAC location, Germany, New Zealand, everywhere the MicroStrategy is extensively used. And if you ask me from the current market, MicroStrategy is really in good shape. There are a lot of things that has been incorporated with the new versions, new visual insights, new dashboards. new security measures. So yes, there are a lot of things which the changes are happening for the better, and we really see a good opportunities from the MicroStrategy perspective. There are multiple, I'm just going to discuss few things from the costing perspective as well. This is something, let's say your organization is planning to go ahead with the MicroStrategy. A MicroStrategy comes up with the different components with the different pricing tags. So there is something where you can just, have a, what is your requirement first of all? Either I want to go with the server, I want to even deploy the MicroStrategy mobile, I just want to deploy the MicroStrategy web. So every feature, whether it's on your normal Windows machine or a Mac, you always have to purchase the license, purchase the products, and every product needs to has a different pricing. So we do have something called as a desktop, which is a tool which will allow you to access and explore the data to create the visualization in just few minutes. Okay, so desktop is a powerful tool under which you're going to do all your development. Along with the desktop, you will also have the architect component. So it's something as a development and migration tool that will allow you to automate the process, save the time, and manage the application throughout its life cycle. So both the components are clubbed under one, and if in case you're going with the desktop and the architect, which will cost you around per user, which is around like 5,600 per license user. It's not, as of now, the numbers that I'm describing over here are based on per user. So if in case you're supporting around like for the 100 user base, you want my 100 users to be onboarded on the MicroStrategy platform, I need to buy the licenses, and for every license I need to pay for it. I even have the web component and the mobile component where you can make sure that the user can access the MicroStrategy from the web or as a UI, or they can even see the data. They can even visualize the dashboards and the reports from their own mobile device. It could be any mobile device, either you are using an Android device, you are using an Apple device. It's not only the cell phone, either you can use the iPad, any kind of the smart device. MicroStrategy mobile is available. So the web comes around like for 600 per user, or you can even buy it as a CPU core base. So, okay, I'm just gonna have the instead of going by license by per user, I can even just go by CPU core, and that cost you around 300,000. Either it's a web server or it's a mobile server. Now, if you decide that I don't want to go with the based on the architect or a developer, instead I will just buy the entire server. That is the full feature server infrastructure, which will allow you to connect to the multiple sources and do all the analysis. That also, you can buy it out, which will cost you around 1,200 per user or 600,000 per CPU core. So this is just to give you a high level, like from the costing perspective, what would be my platform-based cost if I try to implement MicroStrategy within my organization. Now, let's discuss more about the MicroStrategy. A MicroStrategy architecture, there are the 5 styles of the BI application, under which you can perform the data mining and advanced analysis. So there are a lot of mining activities, there are a lot of prediction analysis that you can do within the tool, and even some kind of an advanced analysis. MicroStrategy also supports the visual and online overlap analysis. When I say a visuals, there are a lot of visual insights that you can create, and it's a very simple. You just drag and drop the objects, you select the format in which you want to display, and within a few minutes your dashboard is ready for the presentation. It also supports the online analytical processing. So there are a lot of activities and the analysis that you can perform in memory, which will not consume any time under the database. So if there are certain activities which happens at the MicroStrategy server itself, it's going to be very quick, and the user turnaround, the report query turnaround, it's going to be much more faster if you perform the same operation at the database level. It is not the standard reporting. The MicroStrategy is not just the standard reporting, it's at the enterprise level. Any kind of a data within your organization can be displayed within the MicroStrategy tool. The main feature of the MicroStrategy, if you ask me, are the dashboards and the scorecards. There are a lot of interactive dashboards that you can really create within the tool, which will, by just looking at the dashboards, you can just fetch out a lot of information, you can perform a lot of analysis, and that will really help you to make a decision which can, further support your business. MicroStrategy is not only limited to your web-based application or the platform-based application. It's everywhere. You can even have your mobile app configured to access the MicroStrategy environment from anywhere. You don't have to be logging into the environment. Even if you're traveling, if you're out of your location, home location, you can still access the MicroStrategy. You can still get the alerts and the data, which will make sure that you're up to date, how your company is performing, and you can, at any time, you can analyze your data and make the decisions. The MicroStrategy architect is of use and self-services. It's it's very simple to use, and it's a kind of a self-service for the business user and any user interface. It's so simple that you really do not have to rely on the other users or the developers to get the required set of data. You can create your own reports and dashboards as well on the fly to get the required set of data. It's the highest user scalability. So even from the novice to expert, MicroStrategy can serve from 100 people to thousands or millions of people efficiently. You will never see any lag, even if I have a huge database, huge user database, I would say. Okay, even if I have a huge user base was trying to access the environment parallelly. MicroStrategy also has the plug and play components, so you can just start small and incrementally grow using one or more combination of BI styles. It has the highest report scalability. So you can, within the MicroStrategy, you can rapidly develop the reports, or you can reuse within the one report design which serves the multiple customers. So it's not that for each user base you have to create a different set of reports. I can do some kind of an ad hoc reporting where I will create a one reports which will allow the multiple users to use it, which can fulfill the multiple user requirements either by having an ad hoc nature, having a kind of a secured data as well. So a person from one location is trying to access the report. They will see the data only for which they have an access to. So even I can have a huge complex security implemented within this BI tool. So you're making sure that only the concerned data is viewed by the user. So you're adding a more security at a BI level as well. Okay, we understand the security is always implemented at the database level, but MicroStrategy also supports, which will allow that only the concerned folks can see the restricted or the secured data. It also supports the automated report maintainability. So you have a dynamic metadata architecture that ensures the changes ripple through all reports automatically. So if in case I make a change in one component, automatically it's gonna get it's gonna make sure that it gets passed on to the entire environment, and you do not have to go and maintain the objects individually. It also has the security and the user administration. As I said, the security is automatically applied to all the people, the report, and the data through role-based user administration. So I can have thousands of users onboarded in my environment, and I can give a different security roles. So this will make sure this certain users can access only such reports, they can have only access to such data, and so on. MicroStrategy has the high performance and the non-stop operation and central administration. So you just have a one server through which you can administer your entire environment. And it also has the highest data scalability. So accessing the data from across the enterprise to the depth and breadth of the databases. So you can just visualize the data. You can just analyze the data across multiple hierarchies. You can perform the drilling, and you can see any kind of a data at any point of time. This is just the overview, like how the MicroStrategy can interact with the multiple interfaces. So if you look over here, we have one server that is the MicroStrategy Intelligence Server, under which you have all the services. You can have the report services, which will cater to reports. You have the OLAP services, as we have discussed, where you can perform the online analytical processing. You have something called as multi-source, which can support the multiple databases. I can even have the distribution and transaction service. When I say a transaction service, it's more with respect to the scheduling and everything. And when I say a distribution service, it's more about the scheduling. And when I say the transaction service, you can even have a write back feature, which you can implement within the. So I'm just giving an overview what all components that MicroStrategy server, what are high-end components, what MicroStrategy server really offers you. On the left-hand side, if you look over here, it's more from the architecture and the developer perspective. So if you look over here, what are the various developer tools that can be worked on within the MicroStrategy. So you have something called as a desktop, or you can say as a MicroStrategy developer, where your entire architect designing and the desktop designing happens. There is also something as a web professional, where you can access the MicroStrategy from web. This is generally for the end user. As a UI, they can log into the environment and they can execute multiple reports to get the required set of data. My MicroStrategy also supports the multiple cubes, and even you can have an SDK part. So if in case you want to perform any kind of a customization or automation, MicroStrategy does also offers the SDK. So if you're a very good in coding and you really want to change the look and feel or the interface of MicroStrategy, or I want to just automate something over here using some scripts, it is possible. So it also offers the SDK piece, and you can always do any kind of customization. Along with this, we also have a multiple administration tools which will allow you to perform various admin activities. So I have the enterprise manager, command manager, object manager, and so on. So we're going to discuss on this just as a pointers, but yes, there are multiple different admin tools. So MicroStrategy has made sure that every activity can be performed using a different tools, so that it can be parallelly all the things can happen. So if in case I want to migrate my objects, I do have something called as object manager, which will make sure that my objects have been migrated across the required environments. Okay. And from the interfaces perspective, I can even have it based on as I said, I can even have it based on the mobiles. Either it's an Apple device, Android device, I can use the MicroStrategy environment. And from the desktop or a web, as I already said, that it can support any kind of a browser or portals. I can even incorporate MicroStrategy within my Microsoft Office. So now let's say I want to create any kind of an Excel, Word, or a presentation which can fetch the data from the MicroStrategy and display. So let's say I'm creating a presentation. As of now, I manually have to update all my numbers. Why to do that? Just integrate with MicroStrategy, deploy your report within the Microsoft PPT. So whenever you present your data, or whenever you execute a presentation, every time you're going to get the updated data as in the form of MicroStrategy report. So it's just that one time you're creating it, and every time you just have to do a refresh, so that your numbers and the graphs gets updated automatically. I'm also showing you at a very high level the architecture of MicroStrategy. So there are we have a 3-tier and a 4-tier architecture which have been supported within the MicroStrategy. On the left hand side, if you look over here, this is something where we are discussing only from the desktop or the developer tool. Where we have something as the MicroStrategy server. Okay, so you're going to configure the MicroStrategy server under one machine, which will be connected to your database and the metadata. Okay, the metadata is a repository which stores all the MicroStrategy information. Whatever the activity you do within your tool, all those information will be stored over here, and it will even interact with the warehouse, that is your actual database. So my MicroStrategy Intelligence Server will interact with the metadata and the data warehouse, and on top of that, you will have one tool called as MicroStrategy Desktop. I'm going to showcase you that. I'm just going to show you in next few minutes what is the MicroStrategy developer tool looks like, how the MicroStrategy web tool looks like. So if you're working on a desktop tool, my MicroStrategy desktop can directly has to be connected to the server, and the server is something which is connected to my metadata and the warehouse. On the same line, if you are accessing the MicroStrategy from web, I will have one more server, that is the web server, which I have to deploy. Till here, it remains the same, the MicroStrategy intelligence server interacting with metadata and the warehouse. But on top of that, I need a MicroStrategy web server as well, which will make sure through which I can access my MicroStrategy web. So let me just show you the tool over here. I will first show you the MicroStrategy developer tool. The interface that you're seeing right now is the MicroStrategy developer, or you can say as MicroStrategy desktop. This is the very powerful tool under which you will perform all your architect and development things. So if you look over here, this particular module, I will say this particular project source is connected to one of my metadata, and under which I'm going to define all my required objects. So you can clearly see over here the entire, this will have all the list of my reports, dashboards, every development activity will be happening within this tool. Okay, so if in case I want to create new objects, so as a developer and an architect, I'm going to extensively work over here. So this is my interface, whereas an architect and developer, I have to spend much more time. If you ask me from the MicroStrategy web, I will just show you the web interface. This is how it looks like. So as an end user, I will just have one URL where I have to just access it, and that will route it to my MicroStrategy. So you can relate the architecture over here. So if I log in into the MicroStrategy developer, this is directly connected to my intelligence server. But if I route it to web, first it will go to the MicroStrategy web. That MicroStrategy web will interact with the intelligence server, and that has a connection to its corresponding metadata and the warehouse. Let me just try to show you one a random dashboard over here, just like how the interface works. So when I try to access any of the project within my MicroStrategy, it will always ask me for its credentials. So it's such a secure that you need to make sure that you define the correct credentials, and based on that only, whatever the role or security it has been defined for your login, you can access your environment accordingly. Okay, so I'm going to log in as an administrator, and I will make sure that I have an access to everything. So once my credentials have been authenticated, I can simply use this particular project to do all the analysis. So let me just run some sample I will say a dashboard. Let me just create dashboard, let's say. Okay, I'm just going to showcase how quickly you can create your multiple dashboards and the visual insights. Okay, so let me just quickly create one dashboard, and I really want to show you how much of interactivity and on the fly analysis that you can do within this tool. So let me just select one source. I will say next. It will just take some time. Alright. Okay. So first, I'm just going to keep on selecting the format. I'm just going to drag and drop the objects, and my dashboard or the visual insight is ready. So let's say I want to see the data in a grid format. Okay, I've selected it. It is showing me the year, cost, and discount. I can just now over here, whatever the fields I just drag and drop, my visualizations are going to get updated. So even if in case I want to see the data based on the region, I'll just simply drag and drop, and you can see as soon as I keep on adding the fields, my visualizations are getting updated. We have selected a simple grid visualizations, and by just doing a drag and drop, it's getting updated every time. I will try to add few more visualizations with the different interactivity, and we will see how you can showcase your data. So let's say I want to see the data as a heat map. And within this, I want to see the year and region blocks, and my color should indicate, the size of the blocks should indicate the revenue data, and the color should indicate the profit data. So I'm just dragging and dropping the objects, and the corresponding visualizations are getting updated. So you can clearly see my information has been displayed as a heat map, where each size of block indicates the revenue information. More the size of a block, more is the revenue data, and the color showcases you the profit data. So if you clearly see over here, it's so simple to create a beautiful dashboard within the tool. If in case I can add any kind of an interactivity, I can just drag and drop the window where I exactly want to display my output. So let's say I also want to display as a grid, graph, a different visualization. It's possible. And if I showcase in the full screen mode, that's it. So even if you're going for some kind of a presentation and you want to just showcase how your business is performing, I can quickly create one object over here. Either you create it from your existing data source. If in case you have an Excel, directly import that, create your dashboard. Your dashboard is ready. So you do not have to spend much more time on the development when you're creating a visual insight, or you can see the analysis dashboard. So if you see over here, within few seconds, my one page of dashboards is created very quickly. Okay, so this is just to make you familiarize about both the interfaces. So one where we have the developer tool where your entire architect and development happens. Another is your MicroStrategy web tool where the end users logs in and they can access their reports and the dashboards. Okay, so from the architect and developer, we have already discussed, you have the desktop or a developer interface under which you can just create new projects, create new objects, or you can maintain the existing projects as well. From the MicroStrategy administration, okay, we understand for a user base, we understand the architect and developer. But there are a lot of MicroStrategy administration activities that can also be performed very efficiently. You can tune your reports, you can monitor your environment, everything can be done using this particular VI system. So if in case, let's say I want to see how many users are accessing my environment at one point of time, can be done over here. So I really have a separate interfaces, or I have a component through which I just have to log in and I can monitor what are the activities which are happening over my server. I can even have a huge security deployed, either it's a user security or a user authentication or a server communication security. Every kind of a security can be deployed over here. You can even perform the fine-tuning of reports to make sure that don't make your user to wait for a longer period of time to get the smaller set or the higher set of data. In the one of this slide, I have shown you there are multiple administration components which does perform the multiple activities. So I'm just going to go it very quickly over here. We have a different components. One where we have a system manager. This was made available after version 9.4.1, and this is something where you can create multiple workflows to perform multiple schedule activities. So now let's say I want to perform a check where my server is up or not. So every 15 minutes I have a request which is going to ping into the server and says, okay, it is active or not. If it's active, then it's okay. What happens if it is not active? I can schedule some workflow. It says, okay, if my server is not active, first notify the required admin team, and you can put forward a service request which will automatically restart my server. So there are various workflows that can be designed within the system manager as per your requirement. So this is one of the simple examples that I have given you, and trust me, there are a lot of other activities that you can do within the system. So you just have to create a single workflow that can be deployed at a scheduled time or a demand. So there are a lot of sequential processes that can be done within the environment through a system manager workflows. As of now, my interface has been designed in a very simple and straightforward manner. You just log in, you use and create your objects. I can even write the scripts to perform various administrative and application development tasks. So there is a tool interface called as Command Manager, under which you can write various scripts through which you can create any kind of an object. You can perform any kind of an admin activity as well. So if in case I don't want to let's say I don't want to use my tool, but I want to create my batch files and I want to execute the command manager scripts, even that is possible. The third admin tool that we really have is the integrity manager. Now let's say I'm performing any kind of an upgradation. I'm upgrading my environment from one version to the another version. This particular tool will always help me to perform the automated comparison. So this is tool designed to streamline the testing of reports and the documents. So even if I'm migrating one object from an environment to the other environment, and I want to see there is no breakdown, I can compare the data between the objects, I can compare the SQL, and I can even compare the data. So this is a very, I would say, a comparison tool which has been designed to streamline the testing. Okay, I know that there are a lot of reporting is happening on my tool, but I also want to see the statistics information. I want to see which all reports are taking a longer period of time, how many users are actually accessing my environment. So all this thing can be done via Enterprise Manager, which collects all your usage statistics. So whatever the activity which is happening on my server, all those statistics have been logged, and that can be fetched out from the Enterprise Manager. And the last thing that we do have is the Health Center, which is used to prevent or diagnose and fix the problems in the system. So there are a lot of administration tools that have been offered within the MicroStrategy, and as per your requirement, you can perform the corresponding activities. As I have already shown you the MicroStrategy dashboards, that it is just only one page longer dashboard, which makes it easy to view the entire document at the same time and see all the information. It also supports the multiple modes where I can perform a various interactivity. I have a flash components, I have the interactive modes, I have the editable modes. So there are a lot of I have something in the version 10. I have something as called as a presentation modes as well. So there are a lot of modes that are through which you can display your dashboards. I've already shown you the MicroStrategy web, and the last thing that we have on this is the MicroStrategy mobile. So the MicroStrategy mobile is the fastest and the easiest way that you can mobilize your existing environment and the web application. So my MicroStrategy mobile platform will enable you to build a wide variety of essential apps that will deliver the workflows, the transaction, the operational systems, multimedia, and BI in a much more customized native apps. So it's not that you always have to log in into the environment. I can even just log in into the MicroStrategy either through an iPad, through an iPhone, or any of the Android device or an Android tabs to enter the to access the environment. You do not have to do. I already have a MicroStrategy app. I can just install the MicroStrategy app. I will configure to use my existing server, and that's it. You can access the data. You can access any of your reports at any point of time from any location. So the MicroStrategy really offers you, a variety of interfaces, and it's really help you that this is something that it's across a multiple platforms. So by this we have just come to an end,